Okay, so the nuts and bolts, of course, are going to be the syllabus. This is the Blackboard kind of panel that's on the left-hand side that lets you know where everything is. I'm going to talk you through several of these things, and most importantly is the syllabus. So you're going to click on the syllabus, and it will connect you to a digital form of the syllabus. So my online courses are arranged by units. Each unit has a start date and a closing date, and all the activities that are in that unit have to be completed inside that window. So you can see we're having 4 units. We have Welcome to the Cave, Truth, Goodness, and Beauty and Beyond. And each unit you see will open up on a Monday, 1 minute after midnight on Sunday, and then it will close on Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. Everything has to be completed inside that unit. I do not accept late work. No late work in any form. So you're going to want to pay particular attention to the syllabus so you know when the due dates are so that you can get everything submitted on time so you get full credit and will be as successful as possible. All right, and so inside each unit there are a couple component parts and they remain pretty consistent. The first thing will be an initial post. This has to be done usually by the end of the first week of that unit, usually on a Friday, and then your reply is due on a Sunday. And it's just basically filling out the basic questions. In this case, it's introduce yourself, and then you need a reply to your fellow students. I will warn you that I expect from the posts that you make that these are not social media shout-outs. These are not, hey, nice job. These are reflective in college level conversations that would happen if we were in a classroom together. So I'm looking for very serious reflection. There's some examples that you can look at in the, I'll show you those later on Blackboard, so you can get a really good sense of what I'm looking for. So this is your initial post and reply on the topic for that unit. All right, then you're going to have a list of materials for you to read and watch for a particular unit. This will not include the final project in each unit, which is generally a movie or a novel reflection. We'll talk about that later. But for each unit, there is a list of materials. Now, this is the first unit, and so there are no readings from our textbooks to make sure everybody has a chance to get physical copies of the textbook. But you can see that there are readings to do, and then there are videos to watch. I'm really a fan of the crash course videos. You'll want to take notes on those, the videos as well as the reading, because in each unit there's an exam that you will take by the end of the unit. Now, I suggest you don't wait till the last day of the unit to take the exam and go over those materials because you need them for your film reflection essays in that same unit. So I would encourage you to sort of try to get those materials read and take the quiz before you start trying to tackle the project. And then at the end of each unit, there is an essay that you will submit based on a film, or in one of the cases, a short novel called The Pearl by Steinbeck. And you're going to watch the films, take good notes. Then in your essay, you're going to answer the questions that I pose in the essay and connect that to the materials from the unit. These are not film reviews. I've already seen the film, so you don't need to spend a lot of time telling me about the film. I don't really care if you like the film. What I really want to know is the material and the topic for that unit as it is reflected in the film. And you need to cite the course materials in your essay. To be successful, you must interact with the materials from the course. That is the readings and the videos And if I have PowerPoints or if I have material, you've got to interact with those materials, and you need to cite them in a way that I know where you're referring to, which book, which reading, what page. So that's going to be really, really important. So you're going to post your essay on a Friday before 11:59, and then you're going to reply to two fellow students by the end of Sunday night at 11:59. But you've got to post first in order to comment. If you do not post by the end of Friday, then you cannot participate in the rest of the assignment because you didn't contribute. So make sure you watch those deadlines and make sure you are citing your sources. All right, so we have 3 textbooks for this course. I think you're going to really like them. Um, the kind of the basic history of philosophy book by Nigel Warburton. He's a very funny British writer, and he does a really good job of getting short and sweet to the history of the philosophers. Each one's probably 3 to 5 pages on each philosopher. You'll have several chapters to read, and again, those chapters are only 4 to 5 pages long. Several chapters in each unit to read. Take good notes because there will be quizzes on those chapters. Then we have the book Lego and Philosophy. Believe it or not, there is such an academic book, and we're going to work our way through that. We're going to use some thought experiments using Lego, and so I think you'll enjoy that book, even if you're not a Lego fan. I think it's really creative and fun the way they've approached questions of gender and race and reality, identity through Lego. And then we have the short novel or long short story by Steinbeck called The Pearl, and we're going to use that in the unit dealing with ethics, goodness. And you'll read that novel and interact with those materials in that essay. So that's the course materials, and of course anything else I post online and all the other things in the syllabus that you need to read and watch. Okay, and on Blackboard, on the kind of the menu panel on the left, there's several other things I just want to draw your attention to. One of them is called Class Chat. That's a place just to reach out to other members of the class. It could be that somebody else has an idea. Maybe you're having trouble with an assignment, or you want some input. You could even post a rough draft if maybe somebody would want to look over it. You can also reach out to me on this class chat. I check it every day. It's also, you can email me, and then once a week I'm going to set up a video, what I call virtual office hours. So you can connect with me. It's a program called Collaborate that goes through Blackboard, and I'll be available at a particular hour, and you can just pop in. It's sort of like Zoom. You can just pop in if you have a question, if you're concerned about a reading or an assignment. We can talk virtually, face to face, about the assignments. But Class Chat is a place to reach out to other students to see if you're having problems hearing something or working on an assignment. Somebody else may have a similar issue, or they might have some insight into how you can solve the problem you're having. All right, another thing you'll see on our menu there in Blackboard is a reference on how to cite sources. I've actually put together a little video to sort of walk through citing sources, when you need to cite sources, and that kind of thing. I am not an English teacher, so I don't care about the semicolon and that kind of stuff that you go through in an English class where they really talk about the mechanics of making a bibliography. What I'm concerned about is that you understand that you need to use other people's materials to support your observations. If you're watching a movie and you watch The Truman Show and you think there's a good example there of an error, and one of the readings maybe about Immanuel Kant, and you think, oh, Immanuel Kant had something to say, then you've got to quote that book and in your essay, and then you've got to make sure you put it in a bibliography. And so this is where students have some difficulty. Um, Again, I'm not an English teacher, so I'm not looking at the nuts and bolts of how you did it, but you need to make sure you cite your sources clearly so I know where you got it. Plagiarism is a real problem. If you copy a paper, if you copy a source, cut and paste is so easy, then you've got to cite it. And you will not pass this course if you are doing that. But most students just need to be reminded how to do it. So you can use the videos we're watching, you can use my PowerPoints, you can use the books that we're reading to help support your essays. You just need to make sure you cite them correctly. Okay, and then on the menu, you will see this thing called Doc Shell's Emporium of Philosophical Wonders. This is a place where I have deposited all kinds of samples of student work. There's all kinds of stuff here. You can ponder and work your way around it. But if you want to see what a good uh, discussion board post looks like, there's an example there. If you want to see what a good film study looks like, there's an example. So before you start writing and before you start submitting material, I really encourage you to look at the samples so you have an idea of what I'm looking for, because there's nothing worse than getting through your first couple of assignments and realize that you really underestimated what the professor is looking for, and then you've got a couple of bad grades under your belt before you hardly got out of the gate. So really make sure you spend some time looking at those samples so you know what a good example looks like. So that's under Doc Shell's Emporium of Philosophical Wonders. There's all kinds of random stuff there too you can enjoy. Well, I hope that answered a lot of your questions about the course and what it expects, and then what we're going to be sort of getting ourselves into as we proceed into this discussion of philosophy. These are the big questions. In fact, in the past, I've even used a book called The Big Questions. And like the game 20 questions, if you've ever played that, where you start asking questions until you can finally guess what it is the person has picked out. Philosophy is like that, and the big questions about what does it mean to be human? What's the purpose in your life? Is there life after death? How do you know what the right thing to do is? Those are the profound questions that, to have a meaningful life, you've got to be able to have an answer that satisfies you as you move through your life. Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living, so we want to examine our lives, look at it everywhere we can, even the ugly corners that we prefer not to look into, to see if we can truly come to a meaningful life. Thank you for joining me, and this is Dr. Shell sauntering on.